Sup internet, it's me, Dave, and welcome to Dave Knows. And today, Dave Knows Wrestling. With Sting's career coming to an anticlimactic end of Lost level proportions, and AJ Styles' future in the company still yet to be determined, it makes a lot of people wonder if both men wouldn't have been better off if they never joined the company at all. And while it seems almost undeniable that Vince McMahon has probably pulled his pud at least once or twice to an outside company's top star getting buried by one of his own, all hope is not gone. Because there actually is a group of guys out there who have found success in the WWF after succeeding elsewhere. And that's the subject of today's episode. Today, Dave knows the top 5 transplants to find success in the Real cute, real funny. Okay, let's try this again. Today, Dave knows the top 5 outside talents who found success in the WWE. Now first, let's lay out the ground rules. Number 1, we're only talking about the major American companies, WCW, ECW, and TNA. As much as I love independent wrestling and companies like New Japan, it's not what we're looking for this list. So Dean Ambrose's time in CZW doesn't count. Sorry, Dean. We're also looking for you to have some significant success in those outside companies as well. Now, Mean Mark Callis wasn't all that important in WCW until he came to WWF to become The Undertaker. So that doesn't count. We're also not looking for any severe gimmick changes. So while Stunning Steve Austin was a signature part of WCW, the Ringmaster and Stone Cold Steve Austin are definitely completely different animals. Now I'm looking for a wrestler that actually had a gimmick, had a persona, that was successful in an outside company, then brought it to WWF and continued to flourish. That's the kind of guy I'm looking for. And finally, what do I mean by success? Well, I'll be the first to tell you that titles don't make a wrestler's career. However, it is what I'm looking for today. And not just any title. I'm specifically looking at the WWE title. That's right, the one Vince created. Even though I'm a fan of the big gold belt, I'm not factoring in too much into this list. I want the guys that were so good Vince McMahon had no choice but to hand them his title because they deserved it. So without further ado, let's get this list started. Number 5, Psycho Sid. Now under my own criteria, I had to include this guy in the list, even though I'm not the biggest Sid fan in the world. Sure, I don't hate him or anything. To be honest, I have a hard time thinking of Sid without picturing that disgusting gnarly leg break thing happen. I mean, it's so disgusting. Now most certainly a notable star in the WCW, and also main evented a WrestleMania against The Undertaker and won the WWF title twice, which is why number 5 goes to Big Sid. Number 4, one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. I'm talking about Latino Heat, Eddie Guerrero. Eddie Guerrero accomplished a lot across ECW and WCW, winning several titles. That train continued as soon as he got to WWF, winning Intercontinental Championships, United States Championships, and Tag Team Championships. Not to mention the big one, the WWE title itself. And he took that off of none other than the giant squash monster, Brock Lesnar. That's right, he actually beat Brock Lesnar. And he took that title into WrestleMania 20 against Kurt Angle, where he successfully retained his championship. And then he went on to close the show with one of his best friends, that guy that WWE says doesn't exist. The other guy that WWE says doesn't exist. The other guy. But number 4, Eddie Guerrero. Number 3, the whole effing show, Mr. PPV, Rob Van Dam. Rob Van Dam is most certainly one of the faces of ECW and a fan favorite, chanting RVD from the beginning of the show all the way to the main event and singing his entrance song before he even comes out. Rob Van Dam was one of the most popular superstars ECW ever had, and he actually debuted on Monday Night Raw a lot earlier than people think he did. His first appearance on Raw was as Mr. Monday Night and was quickly forgotten thereafter. And while it seemed like we had another example of WWF just not knowing how to utilize a top star, it seemed we just had to be patient because in 2001, Rob Van Dam still rose to the top, main eventing against Kurt Angle and Stone Cold Steve Austin for the title. After that, he went on to win Money in the Bank, and he would successfully cash it in during the second one-night stand against none other than the Golden Boy, John Cena, to win the title. And he also used this as an opportunity to bring back the ECW Championship. Everything after that night in ECW never happened. Number 2, this was a close call, but at number 2, none other than, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. Do I even have to go on about Ric Flair's many accolades and championships that he's won in the NWA and WCW? He goes down as arguably the greatest heel of all time. And now that the WWE is pretending Hulk Hogan doesn't exist, they have no problem calling Ric Flair the greatest wrestler of all time, period. And with all his success before coming to the company, when he finally did sign with the WWF, he got to win the title twice. First time was when he actually won the Royal Rumble in 1992 as the third entrant, and got the longest Royal Rumble time in history up until that point. He went on to headline WrestleMania against the Macho Man Randy Savage. He would eventually go on to join the Triple Crown Club, become general manager of Raw, and recently has been managing his daughter, WWE Women's Champion Charlotte. For all of his accolades, number 2 and a close second, Ric Flair. And that brings us to the number 1 spot. Who is it? Well, it's none other than Y2J, the Ayatollah of Rock and Rolla, Chris Jericho. Jericho won his fair share of titles in ECW and WCW, including tag team, cruiserweight, and television. And he had amazing matches with Dean Malenko, Booker T, Raven. He was definitely a superstar, but he was totally being underutilized. And then he came to the WWF. And during his amazing debut on Monday Night Raw, Jericho-holic started to get a bit worried when The Rock told him that it doesn't matter what his name was. However, fear not, because Jericho went on to have one of the most amazing careers that any wrestler could ever have. He has the record for the most intercontinental title reigns of all time. He's a Grand Slam champion, he's won the WWE and the world title, and has the distinct honor of being the first undisputed champion of all time. For all that and more, the number 1 most successful outside talent in the WWE is Chris Jericho. But there you go, there's my list. What did you guys think? Is there someone under my criteria that I might have missed? Let me know in the comments, and please don't forget to like and subscribe. Alright, and that was my video on the 5 most successful WWE superstars that actually made it big in outside companies first. And I know some of you are thinking, why was Booker T in the thumbnail if he wasn't even in the list? I didn't want anybody say, oh, I know who number 1 is because he's in the thumbnail. No, you don't know. Alright, because I hate it when they do that. Countdown list, and you see the thumbnail, and you're making it all the way to number 1, and you didn't see the guy that was in the thumbnail, and you're at number 2, you're like, well, I guess I knew who number 1 is, and it's always that guy. Why do you do that? Why ruin the list? So I ain't telling you nothing. So next time you see a list video from me and you see a dude in the thumbnail, maybe it's going to be them. Maybe it's not. You have no idea. Keep you guessing. You'll never find out. You never know what I'm thinking. But keep watching this channel and you'll know what I know. Because this is Dave Knows.